It's that time of the year. Your vacation is coming up. You can already hear the beach waves, feel the warm breeze, relax, and think about work. You really, really want it all to work out while you're away. Monday.com gives you and the team that peace of mind. When all work is on one platform and everyone's in sync, things just flow. Wherever you are, tap the banner to go to Monday.com.
This episode is sponsored by Skechers, the comfort technology company. I have a 7-year-old son, and the biggest mountain I climb every day is trying to put shoes on this child. And I'm so grateful to Skechers for supporting this podcast, but also for making the only shoes my son will willingly put on by himself. Their slip-ons are amazing. Thank you, Skechers, for everything. And you can find Skechers everywhere. Skechers.com, a Skechers store, or wherever stylish footwear is sold. One of my favorite things to do is hang out in the tattoo shop and tell tattoo stories with Sean from Texas. And we're going to see how long it takes you to get tired of listening to me and Sean from Texas tell tattoo stories. So now, latest episode, check it out. It's a fun one. What do you think? You have anything good to say about Sean? Or bad to say about Sean? What do you think about Sean from Texas?
I think he's a good friend.
He's a good dude. This is the Stupid Things for Love podcast, and I'm sitting in the tattoo shop with Sean from Texas. I feel like this is... It's becoming a regular thing because one of my favorite things to do is to cancel my tattoo appointments. And now I'm like, let's just put out another episode of me hanging out with Sean. My dream is for hanging out with you to be my job.
We kind of do that though.
I know it is. It is kind of our job. We have to draw pictures on other people, but I like these moments when it's like I get to just kind of catch up with you. I was going to send you something last night. That picture of the like Mexican drug dealer that had the hairless cat with all the tattoos on it. Have you seen that?
Mm-mm.
Going around the internet?
I've heard about it, but I haven't actually seen the photo.
Yeah, it was like some narco guy like tattooed his hairless cat, and it reminded me of this story. I worked up in Chico, California for this woman. She has this shop in Chico that I worked at. I'll think of her name. She's so cool, just this OG tattooer. But she was telling the story about, like, she got this mix. Her whole clientele was either like little, just like pink college kids, you know, fresh out of their parents' house and like, you know, spending their allowance on their first tattoo, or like old school, like California, like Latin gangsters. And she was saying that one day she had this guy come into the shop and walked in and wanted to get his pit bull tattooed. She was like, I'm not fucking... She's like, you know, it's this giant monster of a dog. And, you know, she's like, if I touch that thing with a tattoo needle, like, he'll rip my arm off. And the dude was like, no, he's cool. He's cool. Don't worry about it. Like, the dog will be fine. And he wanted to get...
He's tough.
Yeah, he wanted to get, like, his, like, the owner's last name, like Gonzalez, and like an old English stomach rocker on his pit bull stomach.
That's awesome.
She like laid out the massage table. The guy like picked the dog up, set it there, like rolled it on its back, you know, and was like, stay. And the dog just stayed there. And she like put a stencil on it, you know, like shaved its belly, put a stencil on it. And, you know, like they looked at it, he's like, yeah, that looks good. Like, go for it. And she was like trembling, like so nervous. She was like, you have to hold this dog. You know, she's like, because there's like, it's going to freak out as soon as I touch it with the needle. And he's like, no, it's cool. He's like, I promise he'll be cool. So she did, you know, she pulled out a machine. She got ready to do that one little line. And he's like, stay. And, you know, she did one little like, and the dog like jumped and like looked at the owner and like looked at her, and he was like, stay. And he's like, okay, go ahead. And so she did another little line, and he didn't move, and just like another one, kept going. Like half an hour later, like gets through a whole stomach rocker on a pit bull.
That's crazy.
And then he's like, okay, down. And he just like flipped over, like jumped down.
What?
And so somewhere in Chico, there's like a pit bull with Gonzalez across his stomach.
I tried to tattoo my girlfriend's dog one time. This is back in the day in New York City, and we just did like a little dot on its ear, and it squealed so loud and just ran out from underneath me so quick. I was like, all right, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
I felt so bad.
I remember seeing like...
She's like a little runt pit bull, not like a big, tough gangster pit bull.
When I was in San Francisco, I remember seeing like these little gutter punks, on Haight Street, and one of them had a hairless rat that had a little like peace sign tattooed on it.
That's cool too.
And just like on its like haunches.
That would be a cool book idea if they just had like a book of just like
animal tattoos.
Animal tats.
God, PETA's gonna love it. PETA would freak the fuck out. But there was that thing on the internet with the guy who, I don't believe that anybody's as dumb, but the guy who there was a picture of it. He adopted this dog, from a rescue, and the dog had a tattoo. It had this little symbol tattooed on its arm, and the guy became really close to the dog. He's like, oh, I want to get my dog's tattoo. Like a matching tattoo. And it was a little like, it was a circle with a line through it, an arrow coming out of it. And, but it's the symbol for like neutered, it's the sign that they like put on dogs to be like, yeah, we cut his balls off,
That's awesome.
And so like, supposedly he didn't know till afterwards, but I'm like, come on, dude. Like, why else would a dog have a tattoo?
That'd be a really good like ball tattoo or something.
Like on your balls?
Yeah. If you got like your
the neutered,
the snip or whatever.
Yeah. You have one of my favorite dick tattoos. Can I talk about your dick tattoo?
Or which one?
the smiley face and the sad face.
Well, it just says hi when it's up and then bye when it's down.
Oh, I thought it was a smiley face, happy face. Either way, it works.
Yeah.
Where like on the top of your dick, it says bye, but then on the bottom it says hi. So when you're excited, it's like, come on in. Yeah. And when you're done, it's like bye.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I always thought it was like...
Those were done with like a cactus prickler too.
Really? Like a cactus spine?
Uh-huh. It was brutal.
Imagine. Do they look good?
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah. Just like after the first one, because it was so excruciating painful. And then, because that one was one that Tati was obviously doing. I had a girl helping me. This is like out in Palm Springs after a lot of alcohol involved. But like we decided to do it. And after the first one, I think we realized after like just a few, like maybe 10 pricks, that the little cactus barb became really blunt. So
aren't they like barbed? Like they're supposed to go in you and then not come out.
Well, it was like a toothpick basically,
right? That
we were trying to tattoo this with.
Oof.
We were so drunk that we didn't really realize that during the first round. And the second one, I was just almost not even able to get through it. And then we realized that little cactus prickler does not stay sharp for very long.
But it said it's sharp because the point like broke off when you somewhere along the line?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like it's not like skin's wearing it down. It had to break off in there.
It got dull really quick, and it was basically like jamming a toothpick in there to do this tattoo. So she ended up finishing it because it looked really janky on the second one because we ran out of we picked a whole bunch off this thing from the walking home from the bar, but we ended up she used like a needle to kind of finish it up because it was like so much pain.
It's involved. So funny. That is one of those things. Everybody's always like, "Have you ever tattooed a dick?" And it's like, yeah,
you have.
Yeah, I've tattooed a few dicks. I mean, like I'm always like, dude, I've tattooed the entire human anatomy.
Yeah.
Like,
I never tattooed anybody's dick, but my own.
Really?
Yeah, just my own. Girls did mine.
Girls did your dick. Yeah. You didn't even do your own dick?
No. Never.
Yeah.
Never. What other ones did you do?
There was that stockbroker guy in New York that I tattooed who came, I mean, I've told this story before, so if you've heard it, excuse me, but I was at the shop in Brooklyn. And, it was like a Tuesday afternoon at like 2:00. And I hear the little, the door jingle. Someone came in and I look around the corner and there's the squarest guy you've ever seen. Like right off of Wall Street, you know what I mean? Like maybe in his late 20s, like really crisp, just like that pressed blue button-up shirt that like every dude on Wall Street has. And when I saw him, I was like, oh, he's lost. Like he's obviously just came in here to ask directions somewhere. Like he did not knowingly just walk into a tattoo shop. And so I lean around. I'm like, hey, buddy, how can I help you? Do you need anything? And he was like, yeah, I want to get a tattoo. And I was like, oh, give me 1 second. So I put my stuff down. I'm like, what can I do for you? What do you want to get? And he was like, I want to get a fly, actual size, as realistic as possible. And I was like, okay. I was like, I mean, I can't do it that small. I could do maybe like a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, but I could, and still get some detail in there. Run you $100. He was like, okay, let's do it.
That's a really good deal.
So I draw it up, and I was like, get the stencil. He's like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, all right, come on back. So I come back, and I'm like, where do you want to put it? And he was like, I want to put it on the head of my dick, just to the left of center. And I was like, I was like, first of all, that's $200 if it's going on your dick. But I was like, the specificity, everything was fine. If you're like, hey, I want to fly on my dick, sure, whatever. But like the specificity of like just to the left of center, like for some reason, that's what made it creepy, And I was like, and it was his only tattoo, no tattoos. First tattoo
one.
He decided to get in his life. And so he did. He dropped his pants. I like pulled out his boyhood and wrapped it around my finger and did the best fly I could, on the head of his dick. You gotta kind of
stretch it a little whenever you're tattooing it, huh?
Yeah, you gotta kind of, I mean, I like wrap it around my finger, and do it that way. But
you got a method.
Yeah, I got a technique.
It's kind of like a lip tattoo.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, yeah. And then I did it. I'm like, okay, cleaned it off. Like, check it out, see what you think. And he was sitting there, like with his pants around his knees, like looking in the mirror. He's like, yeah, perfect. But like with the same emotional arc that he would, as if he was buying a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Like he was just like, didn't get a rise out of him. Like that guy, to this, I wonder so often, like, where is that guy now? Like, where is he today?
Do you think he got more dick tattoos?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm like, what, did he lose a bet? I don't know. But yeah, I've always, if anybody out there ever went home with some dude and saw a fly just to the left of center, let me know.
Well, it's like, I don't know. I feel like whenever I started getting my genitalia tattooed, because I got like several on my dick and then even one on my balls, like it's so painful and so crazy, like to even want to do that like whenever now I see people that have those kind of tattoos, I like have like this new respect for them.
What do you have on your balls?
I got blue and blue ink, just the word blue.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And that was by far the most excruciating tattoo I've ever gotten.
Does it look good on the scrotum? Because I mean, it's kind of like drawing on a wet napkin.
Mine doesn't, because I was squirming around so much.
Yeah.
But I couldn't be still. That one hurts so bad.
Actually, you know what? I worked with the guy in Long Island. He had one of my favorite scrotum tattoos where it literally, like, if you lifted up, his hog, and then like just straight across, it said, "I'm nuts" on his nuts.
That's pretty funny great. That he put it on the underside.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, dude, it hurts so bad. It's not even like if you wanted to torture a male, that's how you would do it. I've been tattooed
like
everywhere.
You'd give up any information.
I've been
You'd
tattooed
snitch on
the
anybody.
Bottoms of my feet. I've been tattooed on my hands. I've been tattooed like literally inside my inner thigh, everywhere, and that is the most painful
Scrotum's
area.
The worst,
I could not even be still. I'm not even lying. It just doesn't even feel like a tattoo.
Yeah,
feels like some sort of torture that you're like trying to endure. It's seriously like next level.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys with their complete balls tattooed before, and I'm just like, I don't even know how they did that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm sure you've seen like the guy that got the whole green dragon.
Right.
And it's just like, I don't even know how he did that, man. Like, it is so painful on the balls.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, I haven't gone there yet. I still have some nooks and crannies left to fill in before I go scrotal.
You got to think of something really funny, I feel like, too.
Yeah, you got to go like
I feel
bumper
like for
sticker with it.
genitalia, it's got to be something
You can't
funny.
be serious.
Yeah.
You can't be
come on.
like, oh, I want the infinity symbol on my balls, or
Yeah.
like, like I want the Sistine Chapel on my scrotum.
It's got to be funny.
It's got to be dumb.
Or a girl's name or something cool, you know? Yeah. I did know a Hell's Angel that had a fly on his dick, though. And I always,
Really?
Yeah, and I always wondered why he had a fly on his dick. Maybe it's like some other meaning. I don't know.
Yeah, some like dirty dick. And now, some pun. I don't know.
Yeah. I have another story about dogs getting tattooed.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's this tattoo artist, for all those who don't know, Dr. Lacra from Oaxaca, Mexico, is by far one of my favorite tattooers in the world.
And Lacra is one of the first. He's one of the first tattooers to like
this guy's
do
OG.
fine art stuff as well, like
Yeah,
to really
man.
like have an awareness of the fine art world and
Just
painting.
such a unique character, and he's just such a free artist, like a real artist. Like a lot of people claim to be artists and everything, but that guy, he's a real artist, man. It's just so fun to hang around this guy because he just is so free. He doesn't think about anything. He just does stuff all the time and doesn't really care if it comes out good or bad. He just does it, you know? And he's so free with all of his stuff. But anyways, I was lucky enough to go and I've met him a few times, but I was lucky enough to go down to Oaxaca where he lives and hang out with him down there for about 3 or 4 days, which ended up being like just this epic trip because we went right around Day of the Dead, and they just completely, it's just like the coolest like party carnival type fiesta type thing going on down there during that period. And we were hanging out with him, and one of the stories that he exchanged was because there was basically, he used to have one of those little Mexican dogs that were like hairless also.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. They're
kind of
spirit dogs
expensive
or
and they're
something.
really weird looking. They kind of look like a Muppet or something.
But supposedly they're like from like Mayan times. Like they're just like spirit, like ghost dogs or something.
It's a very, very strange dog breed for sure.
But they have some auspicious like quality. Anyway, go ahead.
So he had this dog, and I think it had some sort of stomach issues, and he had to take it to the vet to get this like stomach issue sorted out. I think they did like some sort of surgery on the dog, and they had to put it under.
Mm-hmm.
So when the dog was still under, after they finished the surgery, Locker asked the veterinarian, he's like, you know, how long is this dog going to be under? And the veterinarian was like, oh, it'll probably be, you know, at least for another hour or so. I think he said like maybe 2 hours, maybe longer. So Locker just basically took the dog, you know, I'm just going to take it now because I want to tattoo it, basically. So he just took the dog and he rushed home and decided to do this big cobra on this little like baby dog's chest, basically. And he did like this big amazing cobra on this dog's chest while it was still under. So long story short, one day the dog runs away and he gets loose. And for all those that don't know, like there's all kinds of like street dogs just running around.
Yeah, I mean Mexico street dogs,
right?
Yeah.
So basically this dog, he runs away, and as the legend goes, he joins and becomes leader of this street dog gang. and he's basically like becomes this folklore legend because like he's got this cobra tattooed on its chest.
Right.
And Locker would even see him every once in a while, and people would see him, and like they would always know it was Locker's dog because like there's not too many dogs running around with like a really amazing cobra tattoo on their chest. But I just thought that was like probably one.
But I love that he was just like, I'm running this town now.
Yeah,
like,
he was like, he was just like this kind of like a foo-foo panty-wad dog. And then as soon as he got the cobra, he like decided to like become a street dog and get in the gangs
Yeah,
and
see,
crime.
even dogs know tattoos are cool.
Yeah, and he just changed his whole life changed.
That street cred carries over to other species.
And he's still running around Oaxaca to this day. Like
That's amazing.
This crazy cool dog with a cobra tattooed on his chest. That was a really cool story that Locker told me. And then there was one other one where he had a pet pig. And I know like there's been artists that I've seen since then, but this is like ages ago. Locker, I feel like, was like probably one of the first to like, he really like tattooed the hell out of this pig that he had.
Yeah.
And it was like, once he kind of completely tattooed it, as the story goes, one time he had a whole bunch of other tattooers down there and they were having this party and he was drunk and he decided just to kill the pig and eat it, and then he skinned it right there in front of everybody, and everybody was freaking out, but he like skinned the pig and then he gave pieces of the skin to all the other tattooers that were there at the party.
Man, those were like your chicharrones, those little had tattoos on them. Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool, pretty gangster.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if you can get away with that outside of Mexico. It's like
I got to check out the pictures of that cat though.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a cat one time. It's funny. This is not a tattoo story, but I grew up, in Louisiana and Texas, and there was a girl that lived down the bayou from us named Tiffany. And apparently it was like so southern. I remember her dad had like this Corvette, that he loved more than his children. And they had a dog, this little like white poodle with just brown booger eyes. And the dog's name was Manette. And had little painted fingernails. The dog was such an asshole. Anyway,
I remember when they used to paint poodles' fingernails all the time. Oh my God.
It's like so, I hated that dog. Anyway, Tiffany and I were playing at her house one time, and her parents were really cool. Like she had all the good snacks at her house. So I'd go over there because like every little Debbie ding dong fucking cupcake she had in her pantry, and I was really into it. But we could do whatever we wanted pretty much, but we couldn't, we were just like absolutely not supposed to go into her dad's office. So we're over one day in her dad's office and I'm like looking through all his drawers and everything. And, like we're going through like just everything. And, but I opened the drawer and there was this little bag, like Ziploc bag with a little 3-piece pipe and some shake in there. And a lighter, and I was like, whoa. Like, I didn't know what it was, but it felt illicit and exciting. And I was like, Tiffany, check this out. And she was like, oh my God, give me that. And she takes the bag and like goes over to her mom, and she was like, Mom, Dad's smoking catnip. And, and I was just like, whoa. I was like, Tiffany's dad smokes catnip. For years, I had it in my head that Tiffany's dad smoked catnip. And even like well into my weed smoking career, before it dawned on me, I was like, oh, that was weed. That wasn't catnip. But I was like, no, I knew this dude smoked catnip once. Like, oh, no, it was weed. But yeah, it was.
That's hilarious.
I figured that one out later on.
I remember the first time I smoked weed, I just smoked the leaves because I found some plants in these woods that somebody was growing. And I had no idea. I was like 13 years old.
But you knew it was marijuana.
Well, I knew it was marijuana, but I didn't know what part you're supposed to smoke. For sure. Yeah. So I just like smoked the leaves and I was like, whoa, I'm so high. I was like, I didn't really feel anything though from it, obviously.
I remember all that shit. Like in the,
I was I was kind of thinking like, man, this is really overrated. Like, this is the big deal.
This is what teachers are cautioning us. Be like, do not ever smoke marijuana your whole life. You're like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. And they were like, their plants were only like this tall and they were like in these coffee cans and I just found them in the woods and I smoked them all, man. And
nothing happened. Yeah.
Felt really cool.
Yeah, I remember there's all that shit. It's like smoking banana peels. I tried that. And then I remember there was smoking. Remember somebody told me if you smoked the peanut skins, you could get high. I remember collecting a bunch of those and smoking them.
I got the ultimate, dude, about smoking shit you're not supposed to smoke.
Really?
Okay, so like check this out. My parents, whenever I was really young, made us this tree house. Well, we kind of helped my dad too. And we made this really cool tree house that was like made from like a plan or whatever. But the only thing was we kind of got busy. My dad got busy. He was a beekeeper and he was always like, his bees took up most of his time. as a hobby anyways. So like we never finished the roof on this treehouse, right? So when my granddaddy died, we got all this stuff from his place. He lived in Houston and worked for NASA, and we had to go down there and get all this stuff and bring it back. Anyways, like we got this really old school tarp that was like, it was like brown and it was really thick and it was like made out of actual fabric, right? And we decided to use that for the roof of this treehouse. And basically, I don't know how it happened. It was so weird. Like part of it was kind of tearing down one day. And I was already like, I was always playing Army and like I would always like collect like half smoked cigarette butts and like, you know, use those to like smoke whenever I was playing Army.
Yeah.
And for some reason I was like, man, I should just like roll that little piece of tarp up and see if it smokes, you know?
Of like,
so
yeah.
I rolled this tarp up and smoked it, and man, it got me so fucked up. I don't know if like it was like
smoking plastic.
The chemical. No, it was like some sort of cloth. But I feel like whatever they have, like to make it,
like tar cloth or something.
Yeah, whatever the chemical was to make it waterproof, it was like, man, it would get you so fucking high, and it smoked really good. Like you could actually just like roll just a little tiny bit up, and it wouldn't go out. It was just like real tobacco, like, and it looked really cool. Like when we were playing Army, because like, you know, it was an actual, we could make longer little pieces.
Yeah, but just the fact that something burns smoothly doesn't mean you fucking smoke it.
We didn't care, man. It was cool, right? We would, you know, sniff glue and shit back then for kicks. But so like, the funny part was like, slowly but surely, that fucking roof of our clubhouse just got smaller and smaller and smaller. And we smoked, me and my friends smoked that entire fucking tarp, dude. We smoked that shit when we were kids. And we were just like my parents were like, what happened to the tarp? And we were like,
God.
Oh, it just kind of like disintegrated.
Oh my God.
And that's what we told my parents.
I have children. I can't hear this shit.
But dude, that shit was fire, man. Whatever that tarp was, man, it was so good.
No, Sean.
And we smoked the whole thing.
Don't. Oh God.
And it was way better than corn husk because we smoked corn husk
and grapevines. Grapevines you're smoking.
Yeah, grapevines is pretty good.
This is, I don't even know if I were to talk about this. Don't smoke fucking tarps.
I could tell you all kinds of things, man, like that we used to get high off of.
Dude, we
like Testers model glue was really good.
I can't even, like, as like your friend and someone who loves you, it's breaking my heart. But I get, there was not much to do in Texas. We used to do all kinds of dumb shit. Like
Freon.
No, Freon. We're moving on from like
Freon was really good.
Killing brain cells. Freon is not good.
You take a garden hose, you would get like a bicycle pump, and you cut off the where it hooks up to the pump part, like the the old school kind.
Yeah.
And you would go to the rich people neighborhoods that had central heating, right?
I like that rich people Freon is the good shit.
Well, they had like the central air units.
Yeah.
So you had to go to the rich neighborhoods. But it made it funner because then you had to like be sneaky about it. You know what I mean? And the Freon things are right there because the guys that would come and refill them, sometimes they're kind of sketchy dudes, and the rich people wouldn't want them coming in their house.
Right.
So you would just
Freon charge.
You would
outside.
just so you would go outside and just do it from the outside. So like we would find where the canisters were, and you stick that bicycle hose on there, and then as soon as you flip the thing and it turns it on and pushes it down, you would just put it up and just take a really big hit. And I mean, that shit would blast you off, dude. It was like a whip it, but like even crazier. And we used to do that all the time.
I'm literally getting lightheaded watching you describe
and
this.
Like one of the funniest times we were doing it, this was in, I don't know, it was like mid 90s or some shit. And this guy, Brian Hervel, who's dead now, he was taking a really big fucking hit. And the woman that owned or her house that we were huffing it from came around the side of the house and was like, I'm calling the cops. Y'all are in trouble. I'm calling the cops right now. And we all just like split. And my friend Brian had just taken a really big hit, and he actually just like he laid out and he pissed himself. Like we all just left, and I felt so bad because we just like left him there like unconscious next to this AC unit, central AC place. But
yeah, I never got it. It wasn't the self-destructiveness, but like, but that I know that redneck restlessness drove us to get into like we would fuck with other people, not ourselves, but we would like. Do you ever do the thing where you'd go to somebody's house and like take one of their garbage cans and lean it up against their front door and then put the garden hose on and fill it with water?
Oh yeah, all the time.
So you fill it up with water
and
then ring their doorbell.
Oh.
But you tilt it so it's leaning up against their door, and you put the garden hose in and fill it up with water, and then you ring their doorbell. So when they open the door, the garbage can falls into their house and like dumps water in there.
I didn't do that one. We would just fill ours up and just use it as a swimming pool.
Yep.
We would just sit in there.
Yeah.
And it'd always be like kind of oily, the water, because
it'd have that like grease on surface. Yeah, you're like swimming in like a parking lot puddle with all the oil stains in there.
We used to do the grossest shit. I remember finding used condoms and washing them out.
No.
And then using them as water balloons.
I can't.
We were like,
water balloons aren't expensive. Like,
I know, but we didn't have any.
Just go to Walgreens and steal some water balloons.
There were always used condoms all over the ground back then. This is like during the AIDS crisis and shit. So it's like they were always all over the ground, and we would take them and we would wash out all the cum and whatever was in there and just fill it up and then throw it on somebody.
God. The like trash cans of water was probably like as far as I took it. But there was this kid down the street from me, Ben. There was something off in Ben. He was like a little spectrum-y, but just like he had something evil in him. And I remember he would go up to people's doors with like a stun gun, those electric like self-defense things, like he'd put it on the doorknob and then ring the doorbell and like listen for footsteps, and then when the footsteps got close, he'd turn it on the doorknob.
Oh my God.
So like you'd see the doorknob, you'd see that it like move for a little bit, and then you just hear this like on the other side, and then like but the thing is like he would just leisurely walk away because like they're not going to grab that doorknob again, so like if they want to catch him, they would have to go around the other door to like find out what happened. Oh, that kid was evil.
We bought a stun gun at Trader's Village, which is like
the swap meet
place in Texas, and it was the coolest place. I mean, the only place where you could buy like a big old barbecue turkey leg and a samurai sword at the same time.
Yeah.
And like one time we bought stun guns. It was like this, there was this one specific place that had like all these, it was like where you could get the anarchist cookbook, like Chinese stars, nunchucks, whatever, you name it. And we decided to buy stun guns.
And we call those throwing stars now. We don't call them Chinese stars anymore.
Right.
I was corrected. Yeah.
I got a stun gun and we were just kind of like blasting each other with it.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like the cop kind. It would work. It would hurt.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like
it was like the
too
little
crazy.
Yeah.
But one time we were just like just bored. This is again like just like this is what happens in when you're not in a city and you're out in the country. We were just like blasting each other, and one of my friends really needed some beer money, and so we were just like hitting him all over with it. I think we did it like on his earlobe, and like finally for like I think like it was either like $20 or $50 or something, he decided that we would shoot it. Like he had his tongue pierced, and we put the stun gun like in between the barbell. He had his tongue sticking out.
Like the electrodes were on each end of the bar, yeah.
And we blasted it right there. And
but wouldn't you like spasm and like bite his tongue off?
That actually knocked him out. That got him
unconscious.
Yeah, and he went out for a second.
Oof. I remember when I first moved to New York, I was like, just in awe of like the spectrum of humanity that New York can contain, and was hanging out with all these like kind of just weirdo artsy fartsy kids, and like there was like. Sometimes it was like competitive weirdness. It was like, okay, there's a fine art between like creativity and just trying to out weird each other. But I remember I got invited to a stun gun and Vicodin party, And I was like, what the hell is that? And they're like,
Sounds
oh
so
no, let's
cool.
go check it out. And it was like this empty warehouse. And we walked in there, we were checking it out. And there were all these like super hot girls there. And I remember this girl was like buck naked, painted gold, had a tray, and like two trays. One was just a bunch of pills that were told were Vicodin, and the other tray was just a bunch of stun guns.
Wow.
And she was like, "Which way do you want to go?"
That is amazing.
And
I want to go to a party like that.
A wild night.
That sounds awesome.
Vicodin and stun guns.
Wow. Which one did you take?
I took a stun gun. I was like, I'm not passing out in this place. Yeah.
Yeah. Good choice. So what, people were just like taking the pill and then
I didn't hang out that long, to be honest, because I was like, if anybody comes near me with a stun gun,
that sounds like such an amazing like idea for like a horror movie. Just like
it starts out artsy, and then next thing you know, everybody's getting roofied and electrocuted.
But funny, going back to that one, like after we had shocked ourselves so many times, we were back at that place at Trader's Village one day.
Yeah.
And they were trying to sell somebody that stun gun. And we're like, man, that thing is nothing. And we like just grabbed it from the guy's hand and we're just like, look.
Right.
And they were like, we totally like blew the guy's sale.
Like,
we're like, this is not even that strong.
Like, this is just a Saturday night for us. Yeah.
We're like doing that for money, man.
Talking about like swap meet weaponry and firearms. There was I was married to an actress for a while, and in dating her, like throughout our dating, like I had to emotionally navigate, part of her job being to go make out with Bobby Twinklebutt, and you'd be like, okay, like for a couple months, it's like she's got to go make out with John Hamm for a living. And I'm a simple guy, like I'm sensitive, and you could rationalize that it's just work, but like emotionally it's hard for me. What I mean? Like, I feel like, I remember like watching her, do scenes with people, and I felt like a fucking caveman, like a caveman that you just thawed out of the ice and, smashes the TV because he doesn't understand that there's not little people trapped in that box, like you can tell me it's not real. I know it's not real, but it looks real,
Yeah.
And so,
especially if you love and care about somebody, it's hard.
Not that I think, like any partner should be numb to it, but, we had to talk a lot about how to navigate those instances, and I had to kind of really be vocal about like, what do I need to be comfortable with this? Because I want her to work, I don't want you to like quit your job, but I need to kind of like figure out, for me, what do I need to feel safe and secure in this? So I talked to her about it, and I was like, how about this? How about, if you're going to do a movie with someone and you have a, romantic interest in the movie, I just want to meet them first. I just want to like meet them and shake their hand and be like, hi, I'm, her partner. I'm not this abstract concept. I'm a real person. Good to meet. Like, I just want to look them in the eye. So I'm just be like, if lines are crossed,
the shit out of their hand and be like, motherfucker.
But just be like, if lines are crossed, like I am the line you're crossing. Not in like a threatening way, just in like, I want them to know that I'm a real thing.
Yeah.
And she was awesome, like super supportive in that. She's like, totally, I get it. So one day I was at the art studio and she hit me up. She's like, hey, she's like, so my co-star is coming by at 1:00 to pick up a script from the house. Do you want to be here so you can meet him? And like she was really great in like, arranging an opportunity for me organically, like meet him, instead of being like, hey, my boyfriend's super insecure, do you mind saying hi to him? Like, no, it was like really organic. And I was like, okay, thanks. I appreciate that. So, I had a couple hours and I was like, all right, he's come by at 1. And I started thinking about it and I was like, maybe I could have a little fun with them, like maybe this is like an opportunity to kind of like be a little playful. So I was thinking about who I know. This is in LA. And actually, I can tell the story now because he's dead, but remember Norm, who had that shop over on Fairfax?
Mm-hmm.
I hit up Norm and I was like, hey, what's up, man? He's like, yo, what's going on, man? How you doing? I was like, I'm good. Hey, I got a favor. Do you have a gun I can borrow? And he was like, yeah, of course. I'm at the studio, but like, you want to swing by here? I was like, yeah. I was like, look, I'm not going to do anything crazy. He's like, whatever you need, bro. And so like,
Norm is the best.
Norm was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I called him up randomly on a Tuesday at 10 a.m. and was like, hey, I need a gun. He didn't ask questions. He didn't like say anything. He's just like, yeah, come on by, whatever you need. And so I go by, I pull up to his studio, I say hello. He hands me this brown paper bag. I was like, thanks, man. I was like, I'll get it back tomorrow. He's like, whenever. He's like, no stress, brother, whatever you need. So I go to the house, and I wasn't going to like, I just had this scenario in my head where I'm like, this guy's coming to like my house. So like, I'm just going to walk in there and just be like, walk in like, oh, and, on the table, just be like keys, wallet, phone, gun, I'll be like, hey, how are you? Nice to meet you. Can I make you some tea? Can I make you? And I just wanted this subtle thing of just being like, just so you know, like, things get weird here, so like tread lightly. That was the way I was playing it out in my head, as to like how it would unfold. And I was like, that's pretty harmless, and like, I'm not gonna like actively threaten him, but like, maybe he'll have a sense of humor, he'll get a kick out of it. We'll tell this story later on. Anyway, so I opened this brown paper bag, and there is this pastel pink 9mm, like pastel pink, like Hello Kitty pink 9mm. And I was like, what the hell is it? And it's like real. And I call up Norm. I was like, hey, he's like, hey, what's up, man? I was like, so the gun is pink. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, a pink gun is not scary. He's like, what am I going to do with a pink gun? And he's like, no. He's like, pink gun is so much scarier than a black gun. He's like, think about it, dude. He's like, the only people that carry on a pink gun are people who kill people so often that they're like trying to spice it up, and like trying to just make it fun, and I was like, yeah. He's like, if you're in a dark alley and somebody pulls a pink gun on you, they're fucking crazy. And I was like, all right, yeah, it's creepy. It's creepier. You're right. So I go in the house, and I have this pink gun in my pants. And, my girl is there, and this guy walks in, and the guy was, I don't know if the guy was Dimitri Martin, who, I don't know if you know him, but he's like the most gentle human. I mean, the guy's like allergic to air, he's just like so not tough. And no offense, Dimitri, I know you're super tough, like it's fine, but just... he's not like, like it's not fucking Channing Tatum or The Rock or something, like it's just like, oh, this guy, I'm not threatened by this guy. We're fine. And yeah, so I end up just keeping the gun in my pants. But then later, my girl, like I had it like in the bathroom drawer because, we were going to bed, and she found it, and she was like, what the fuck is that? It was like a whole conversation. She's like, you cannot pull guns on my co-stars. This is not okay. You crazy redneck. Anyway, I didn't, but yeah, that was the pink gun. And then I gave it back to Norm the next day. No questions asked.
That's crazy. I know this kid has got a pink shotgun, and I was just like, why?
It's creepy.
It's a thing.
It's creepier. Yeah.
People. And it's funny too that it's pink. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess so.
Pink used to be kind of, punk rock back in the day.
Yeah.
But I still think I'd rather have a black one.
Anyway, I got my next appointment coming in.
Tattooing?
Yeah. But thanks for hanging out and chatting.
Always, man. Anytime. I love hearing all your stories. I feel like because we kind of grew up in similar areas, and it's just kind of, you got a lot of good ones. So
man,
I'm always all ears, man. Always.
Thanks, homie.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again for having me.